Hey guys, so sorry about my voice, but I'm like dying from the man flu. I'm on my way out basically, and before I'm gone, I just wanted to share some wisdom. Um, no, but anyway, I've been asked a couple of times now about my setup for Pike with the Tiny Clash. The Tiny Clash is rather sensitive when it comes to line and weight in the line, like metal stuff. It's in glide mode anyway. It can be hard to operate. You need a soft tip rod, and if the line's too heavy or if something is in the way, it definitely affects the action negatively. So I try to keep it as streamlined and light as possible, but still I'm fishing for pike a lot, so I'll need a bite-safe leader. And what you don't want in the way is like crimps and metal rings, solid rings, big swivels and stuff like that. So this is the setup I'm using, and I'm quite happy with it. So people ask me, and I thought I'd share. So if I'm using a fluorocarbon mainline, it's usually a 20-pound test. The Tiny Clash doesn't need 20-pound. You can totally fish it on like 16-pound or 18-pound if you're fishing for bass. But for pike, I opt for 20-pound just to have a little bit less stretch to get a better hook set. If I'm fishing a PE, it's different. Get to that later. So yeah, I'm using the fluorocarbon mainline 20-pound. I'm using a 1 mil or at least 0.9 millimeter leader. This is not about the pound test. It's about the diameter. It's about the thickness of the material. So it's roughly 90 or 100 pound test. Aim for 1 millimeter or at least 0.9. I'm using an Albright knot to connect the main line to the leader with around 6 or 7 turns, because it's small footprint. It's not heavy, it doesn't get in the way. If you happen to reel it in accidentally into the guides, it doesn't wreck your guides like a solid ring would. And also it doesn't add extra momentum or inertia through weight. So this is like a very small footprint, light way to connect the leader to the main line without any metal parts. So then I've got about a foot of this leader. Let me just take this off and tie the leader to the snap. I'm using a snap like this because it's, again, light and sturdy. And now with a 1 millimeter or 0.9 millimeter material, it can be tough to have a small knot. So what I'm using is what's called a fat mono. Again, it's very small footprint. It's very quick and easy to tie. And it's very strong as well. So this is the setup I ended up with. Fluorocarbon mainline, 20-pound, small knot, Albright, 7 turns, tied to a 0.9 mil fluorocarbon leader. This is to keep the pike from biting off the lure. And a small fat mono knot. Look it up on YouTube, you find a tutorial for that, fat mono to a snap. You can use whatever snap you want, but I would try to avoid like a big heavy snap, no swivels and stuff like that. Get a small light snap that allows the good range of motion for the lure. If you're not using a fluorocarbon mainline, there's 2 ways I'm tying the leader to it. Either like with a PE with a braided line, I'm using an FG knot to tie directly to the leader, or what I usually do to have a little bit more stretch and the benefits of a fluorocarbon line is I usually or often use a like about 6 foot long fluorocarbon leader. So PE main line, about rod length fluorocarbon leader, so that I don't reel the leader. I choose so that I don't reel the FG knot into the reel. So it stops about here. So how long it is depends on the length of your rod. And then I do the same thing again. Like a Pike-safe bite leader, my 6 foot long, 6-ish foot long fluorocarbon leader with an Albright knot, and then an FG knot to the mainline PE. But I do prefer the action of the glide baits with a fluorocarbon mainline, so I usually don't use braid. I only use braid if I also fish stuff like heavy cover stuff, top water, chatterbaits, spinnerbaits on the same rod reel setup. If not, I always go for fluorocarbon mainline. So this is my setup. For bass only, if there's no pike, I wouldn't use this leader because it still affects the lure a tiny bit. But it's the, like this is the, well, the lesser evil. You don't want to lose your lure.